So again, welcome everyone to part 4. Again, my name is Lynn Rule and I am a parent consultant with the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center. Today we are going to cover some questions that we have received over the course of the last few days, and we have a couple pieces of new information to share with you. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce my colleagues and co-hosts for the week. You've met them before. Lisa.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lisa Opert. I'm a parent consultant with CPAC. I'm also a former teacher. I have 4 children and 2 of them have IEPs in place. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. And Leona.
I can't believe we're on day 4, but thank you to the new faces that are out there. My name is Leona Adamczyk. I am a parent consultant with CPAC as well. I have 3 boys, 2 on an IEP and 1 on a 504. So thank you again for joining us. Do we want to introduce our other parent consultants at this time who are here to just say hi real quick?
Sure. So we do have other staff members here. So our other colleagues, Laura.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Laura Knapp. I'm a parent consultant, and I have 5 children, and several of whom have had IEPs and various medical conditions. Happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Vanessa.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vanessa Pollack. I'm also a parent consultant with the CPAC. I also speak Portuguese. If any parent out there that have any questions or need a parent consultant that speak Portuguese, please call us. I'll be happy to help. And I'm also a parent with 2 kids, both one with IEP and one transition from IEP to 504. I'll be glad to help, and thank you for having me again.
Kio.
Hi everyone, my name is Kio and I also work for the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center. I'm in the satellite office in New Haven. Saludos a todos, mi nombre es Kio Mari, trabajo en la oficina satélite en la ciudad de New Haven. Muchas gracias.
And Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen Lucier. I'm also a parent consultant at CPAC, and I have 2 children with 1 on an IEP.
So thank you so much. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center, under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, every state's required to have a parent training information center. And so for the state of Connecticut, that's the purpose that CPAC serves. So this week, we wanted to take an opportunity to try and help all of our families to better understand some of the challenges that we're facing as we re-enter school under this COVID world. So I just want to also remind everyone that we are recording this. And we are also on Facebook Live. So any information that you share will be in a public forum. So just be mindful of that as we go through this process. So today we want to go back to a question that actually had come to us at the end of our session yesterday, which involved evaluations. And I want to take a moment to share with you. Can everyone see that? Did that come up? Okay, so this is Addendum 6 for the reopening guidance. And this is the guidance that specifically references educating students with disabilities. And so on page 6 of this addendum, there are 11 pages, but on page 6, it discusses conducting the evaluation. So it talks in particular about doing those in-person evaluations and whether or not parents would feel comfortable in having an in-person evaluation. And before we started this session, we were talking about some of the things that you should consider if you were to possibly say that you did not want someone coming into your home. I think it's important to also keep that in mind, because the school is offering to do this. And so therefore, what is that evaluation going to look like? Leona, you had a couple of good points to consider when we were talking about this. Do you want to share those with everyone? Unmute yourself though.
Yeah, doing the technology part, I forget where the mute is because I want to make sure everybody can see the screens and the recording, so I apologize. But one of the things that I was saying is taking a look at if you could wait on the evaluation. So if everybody's in an agreement and you guys want to hold off, both the district and you decide, you can do that. You want to collaborate with the district, which I think is the key that I was making earlier, the point that I was making earlier, was you really want to talk to the whole team and determine what evaluations are important, when and how they can be done safely, and if they were important to do right now. So sometimes the answer is going to be yes, we really need this information. And other times you might decide that the IEP, the way it stands, if everybody's willing to move forward with it, is really what was working best. And so maybe that's what the team decides. You have to take a lot into consideration. Is it going to, what is virtually, how can this best for the student to access the evaluation? If it needs to be done in school, if the students' remote learning is transitioning to school for the evaluation, going to be a hard transition for them, because here's where they're not. There's many pieces to take in. I think it really comes down to talking to the team and being open and honest about your concerns, and having those lines of communication open on what you're looking to achieve with the data at this time.
And also, there are going to be a lot of people requesting evaluations. There were some that were paused halfway through because they were in the process of being either reevaluated or doing an initial evaluation. And there are also going to be a number of situations where parents have had an opportunity now to really see their children learning up close and personal. And Leona and Lisa, I think we had talked about this earlier in the summer about the importance of documentation and documenting concerns and questions that you might have. And all of that information is now going to come into play when we get back into school. Do any of my colleagues want to add anything additional to this?
I wanted to add about the documentation, because we talked about it intensively on all levels, in English and Spanish and early childhood. It was just so important. So I just want to encourage families, this is the time where all of that information is going to come into play to really help make that individual plan for this year. And I know Lisa has stuff to say too, and Keo, because I can see.
I was just going to say, we're one of those families that our triannual was paused because we were halfway done with our evaluations. And I think it's important to realize that the evaluations that were completed are still valid, but if they were halfway and they paused right in the middle of them, they are no longer valid. So just make sure that you're looking at which evaluations were completed. And I mean, completely completed, not just almost done. Even if there was one question left, that eval is no longer valid. So reach out to your caseworker or your special education department of some way and see which were done, what has to be redone, and how they plan to do those things.
And to that point, Lisa, because it's so important, is that in your evaluations, right, there's many evaluations in that triennial. So when we're talking about not being completed, we're talking about the specific individual, like speech or, PT or OT or the academic achievements. We're talking about those individual pieces in the whole.
Yeah. I mean, if there was some parts of it that were completed, those are valid. You could use those because those last for 3 years. But if there's a piece of those that were not completed, those are no longer valid. It's been too long from when it started. So you really want to get the most accurate information on your child.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
I was going to say that a lot of the districts had requested waivers to try to do some of the evaluations through distance. So keep that in mind, that because of the way things are going and some districts are going to continue remotely, they may start doing evaluations also remotely. And they may make some exceptions to do some parts in person and some parts online. I know I'm doing that now with my 18-year-old son through Clifford Beers. We've done a portion of it over the phone, a portion of it in video, and he has to go for 2 observations, but they're not going to meet with him. They're going to observe my interaction with him and make an assessment based on the observations that they make during those 2 in-person sessions.
Right. I was just going to add, it's important to talk to your district to determine which evaluations might be appropriate to do remotely via video chat or Zoom or some other method. And if those evaluations would be valid, because you don't want the school district or anyone doing an evaluation and then finding out it's not valid to administer in that setting. So it's important to really talk about it with your school district.
So if you take a look at, if you are really questioning this evaluation process, there is quite a bit of information within this addendum. I think someone may have been able to post a link or possibly post a link in our chat to addendum 6, which is from the state of Connecticut on guidance for educating students with disabilities. In particular, this section on evaluations you can see is rather extensive.
Good.
And I think someone asked a question in the chat that Keo may have put a response to, if we want to share this information also. Let me see. Someone is saying that they are new to Connecticut, coming from another state, and would the new district need to do a new evaluation? This person's son had an IEP that was done in June in another state. Keo, do you want to explain your response?
Sure. So what I noted was that they can choose to accept the IEP as it was written, and usually if they have any concerns or they start to look at the student and observe something, they may recommend additional evaluations. If they strongly feel they want to change something from the evaluation, they do have to have a PPT. In the meantime, the IEP as it is written will continue, but then they can add additional evaluations if necessary.
And Lisa just shared in the chat the link to that guidance. So something else that we also wanted to bring to your attention is that in the midst of all of what we have been going through this week, we also saw that there was another addendum that was issued from the State Department, and this is Addendum 8, and it specifically deals with fire drills and lockdowns. And on social media and in talking with some parents, we've noticed this has been a big question. How are we going to do fire drills? So I had taken some of the language that was in Addendum 8 talking about fire drills, that they still do need to be conducted. It is a requirement, and students still need to understand how to best exit the building as quickly as possible, especially when we start thinking about the fact that they're now going to be wearing a mask and they have to maintain social distance as they are going through these hallways. So there is guidance that is in here regarding fire drills, and also some guidance talking about lockdowns. And the fact that, again, when we think about a lockdown, when kids are practicing those, what are they doing? They shelter into a very small space. They're all crunched in together. So guidance on this, and again, trying to maintain that social distance. However, unfortunately, we live in a world where we still need to practice these skills and be certain that students are receiving instruction in emergency procedures, regardless of what they are, and understanding how to be able to maintain their social distance, wear a mask, and everything, all of those other things still apply. And I think when we think about some of our little guys, especially those that are in kindergarten, who are going into first grade, they had their kindergarten year completely cut short. And now all of a sudden they're coming back into school. They have a different classroom. We kind of a little bit of what we talked about yesterday, without having had that opportunity to say goodbye. They have to learn a whole new drill, whole new space with hallways that go in one direction. And, you know, so there's going to be a lot involved in this. So it would not surprise me if you hear your children coming home saying that they had fire drills and lockdown drills right at the beginning of school. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that or say anything else? So I wanted to see if there are any questions that we have out in the, either in our chat or on Facebook Live, or anything in particular that anyone wants to have more information on or wants some clarification on, or any other questions that anyone has. No?
I think that maybe if everybody wants to share maybe what we're hearing a lot of and some concerns. School starts in a week for the most part, right? I'm having a fire drill apparently. But maybe we can share what we're hearing.
So one of the questions that we have had is, what happens when you have a hybrid model and it is not your day to be in school on the first day of school? How is that going to be handled? So curious to know if anyone who has a hybrid, if you've heard any of that, or if you've heard any of what you're doing in respect to that. Because that's a good question to have. What do you do when is your first day of school? Lisa, are you trying to unmute? Oh, there you go.
Our first day of school is actually Monday. So it's this coming Monday. My kids are counting down the days. They're very excited to go back. And we're going back full time. So we're 5 days a week. We're starting at half days.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really heard much about hybrid because they're doing that more at the high school level.
Right.
But I would imagine that those teachers are going to have 2 first days because they're
Correct.
meeting 2 groups of kids both days, which could be fun. I always loved first day of school. I still do love first day of school, but.
So I know you're going to a week or 2 weeks, right, for the first.
Well, that's how our hybrid reads right now, but we were just recently giving a survey. We were going back face to face, though. We're not using hybrid, but if we go to that, it could change. But right now, how it stands, we go 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. But you know, on their off days, they're online. So
when are you starting first? For you, are you starting
face to face? Yeah. But we're a small district, so I really, it's very different when my district's going to show up in person, and Hartford would show up in person, like it, you know, or use Glastonbury because it's right next door. It, you know, their high school is like 2,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I think ours is just over like 8 or 9 if everyone was to show up. So it's drastically different.
Yeah, that's the same with us. We're in person because we have our district is only responsible for elementary school. We have 3 elementary schools and then 1 school that's only for kindergartners. So they're really able to cohort very tightly and keep people very well organized. So we don't have to deal with necessarily middle school and high school because it's shared amongst 3 different districts. So I think Leona probably has, you know, the district at the older levels that are going back full time. It's one of the few I've heard, but.
Yeah, we like that. Yeah. we like to do that around here. Be just a little bit different, but again, taking our numbers into consideration. Keo, is that a question in the chat? I'll let you answer.
No, it wasn't a question. I just put in the chat the link that was shared through Zoom for the addendum number 6.
Oh, no, I think someone posted one in Spanish.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I was still on Facebook. Oh, so Flor Castro said, good afternoon to everyone and thank you, Kiomari, me. Gracias, Flor.
So I would also like,
so it didn't look like a question, but I had to ask.
Right.
So I'd also like to mention that CPAC, in conjunction with the State Department of Education, just released today special education guidance for parents related to school reopening. So we have posted, I think Jen posted a link to it in our chat, and it is pinned to the top of our Facebook page as well. We will be getting it up on our website soon, and I believe it's being translated as well into Spanish. So what we've done is taken all of the guidance with respect to going back to school, and we've laid it out in about 2.5 pages or so with breakdowns for full in-school, hybrid, and full remote learning situations for parents to be able to take a look at. And it gives them a number of points to consider, things that we have talked about over the course of the last 4 days, maintaining communication with the staff and the importance of communicating. And we really can't stress this one enough because, as we said on Monday, every district is doing something different. And even though we've mentioned that it's a hybrid, it's not the same hybrid in every district. Everyone's handling it a little differently. So there are a lot of points to consider, and communication really and truly is key. We also talk a little bit in here about the Learning Model IEP, which was something we talked about with Brian Klimkowitz on Tuesday, and how that would apply in terms of changes in mode or delivery of services for students during this re-entry time for COVID. And we have links on there also to the various addendums. So we encourage you to please take a look at that as well. And it gives a very concise and clear guidance and updates with respect to going back to school. Laura, did you want to add something to that? You're muted.
There we go. Now it's working. I just wanted to just express in our district, we are going to a hybrid model, but when students are home, they're actually going to do synchronous learning. The teachers are actually holding classes, and they will actually have video cameras in the classroom. And as everybody can tell, it's very different from each district. It's so important to talk to your district in any questions, concerns, or if it's not clear what's happening when the students are home, make sure you get it cleared out before you start the school year. It's very important to talk to your district.
Communicate, 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 right? Do we have any questions out there on Facebook, Lisa,
Yeah,
or
there
Jen?
was
I'm
a
not sure.
question that Floyd made, but it's in reference to food stamps, and she would like more information. So I said to her I wasn't sure exactly what her question was privately, so I asked her to give me more information. And I also mentioned to her that we necessarily didn't address anything to do with food stamps. So I'm not sure if she misunderstood something that was said. So I am trying to get more information, but since she put it for everyone, I'm sharing it with you guys.
This is Hope, by the way, and I just wanted to chime in that in my district in Putnam, the homeroom teacher did a great thing for my son who's doing distance learning, and it's a hybrid, so it's every other day. But what she did is she wrote a list of expectations for all the students in that model and what they should be doing all the other days of the week. And I thought that was great. She just laid it right out. She's a homeroom teacher. So I just wanted to say that really helped a lot, because I had no idea what to tell him on the off days, like how we would structure it. So
that's really good. Did he understand what those expectations were?
He just was starting to read over them last night, because I just got the email last night. So I think he's gonna, he's happy with it. I think he's happy to see their structure. I think that's the good thing.
And I think what we're seeing now is that a lot of districts, now that they kind of put out, okay, here's what we're going to put in place. This is the model. Now let's get down to the detail part of it. And how are we actually going to put this into play? And things like you said, Hope, what the expectations are on days that you are not in school. And again, this goes back to what we started our entire week talking about, was that the remote piece, or the virtual piece, is different now than what it was back in March. We were thrown into this situation in March without really knowing how long it was going to last and what the expectations were all going to be. But now that we have a model and we actually have a delivery with respect to education, we've got a plan and we can move forward. So I think that's great. And I think we will hopefully start to see more districts doing things of that nature. The latest map the latest that I had seen, there were still some districts within the state that had not yet finalized plans. So yeah, this is kind of getting a little close to nitty gritty. And certainly also technical issues and technology for your children too, whatever it is that they may need. And there was an article that I had read this morning talking about putting accommodations in place, that things that we might not have thought of. So when you're looking at someone with a 504 that has preferred seating, which, as we all know, does not necessarily mean the front row. It means whatever is best for them. So the purpose, if you think about what's the purpose of that accommodation. So the purpose of that accommodation is to maintain focus, to keep the child as focused on what is happening as as possible. So how do you implement that in a virtual world? And one of the recommendations was the noise canceling headphones. So again, this would be a piece of technology that you may not have thought about in the past, but this is something that's going to help to be able to maintain that accommodation and put that accommodation in place. Keo, did you have something you wanted to share or add?
No, I'm just sharing contact information for Flor in regards to her question about food stamps. She said when she translated on her end something that was said, it came up as food stamps. I don't know exactly what it was. So I'm saying to her not to worry, that if she did have questions about it, she can call the number that I posted for her.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions on Facebook or comments?
I think it's a quiet day with everything going on.
I think so. And I know we have some storms that are rolling in. Some folks are already beginning to get some thunder. And so who knows what's happening on that end. But
it's very dark, as you can see. Usually I have light blaring. You can see it's very dark here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to turn on my light. Very green looking out. I'm like,
That's not good. Green's not a good color in the sky.
Go ahead, Lynn, because I was going to say we were going to ask for those who are on. Or did we want to ask?
Right, that's what I was just going to say. So we've been doing these calls at 3 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This was a special series that we had put forth. We are in the process of putting together our plans for the fall. And we realized that 3 o'clock now, with folks going back to school, 3 o'clock is kind of a challenging time. So we just want to ask you, just drop us a quick message in the chat, or if you're on Facebook, if you can drop us a message on Facebook. And if you're watching this after and it's not live, if you're watching, just drop it in the comments. We'd like to know what would be a good time for these types of calls. Do you wish to have us continue them? Do you want them twice a week? Are you looking for them once a week? Yes, we can create a poll. But we thought if anybody was on here now, if they wanted to answer that. So next week, we will not have any calls while we finish putting together our fall schedule. And you should just keep your eye out for our plans for I guess it would be 2 weeks from now. So Lisa, Leona, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, thank you so much. Remember that as families, your choices that you're making are right for your family. And we support you, and we'll be here to answer any questions that you may have that come across as the school year starts, no matter whether you're virtual or face-to-face.
Leona?
Same. We're very happy that you could join us this week in all of the sessions through the summer. Even though we're taking a week off from live calls, I know that we're all going to be very, very busy taking your personal phone calls, and we're very happy to do so. So please feel free to call us. We'll get the information into the chat. And Jill, welcome to Connecticut. And we're here to help you. We're very happy to help you get your feet wet and support you through the transition process from Massachusetts to Connecticut. The laws are obviously very different. So we're here, and couldn't be happier that you joined us. And we'll continue to read the information that you guys are posting. Anybody else?
Yeah, I messed up and I put 66 something, but I caught it. So it's 860. Sorry.
That's okay.
Typing with very tiny eyes.
I started sharing information with one of you privately as opposed to everyone. So, but thank you all very much for joining us. We hope that you found these sessions to be informative and helpful. If there is anything in particular that you'd like to hear from us, please don't hesitate to get in touch and to let us know. And so I do thank all of our colleagues who have been on here helping us behind the scenes, for Keo and Adriana, especially to help with the translation part and be sure that we can include our Spanish speaking families as well. And Jen, Vanessa, Laura, thank you so much for helping us out. Vanessa, you had a question or something you wanted to add?
I just want to add that for the people that didn't, I don't know if it was recorded in the beginning, that, people for any other language out there that's watching this, please call us. That we have some staff, myself speak Portuguese, we have Spanish, we have Creole and French, staff members that can help you every day pretty much. And we have a line that we can get translation for other parents out there that speak any other language. So please reach out to us, that we found a way to help anybody with any language.
Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, so thank you all very much for joining, and we hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck with the return to school, and we are here if you need us.
Thanks so much,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Thank you very much, Joshua.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you too, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're still live on Facebook.